Hey guys, after a recent Unskilled review of another movie, someone else has asked for a review of Black Rain. So Black Rain was made in 1989 and was directed by Ridley Scott and starred Michael Douglas and Andy Garcia. And I hadn't seen it before, so I watched it, and it's sort of, there was no surprises. 1989, some old folks remember 1989. I clearly remember 1989. And this movie sort of reminded me of Lethal Weapon. So that was Mel Gibson movie about the same time, I think, Lethal Weapon. And a cross between that and Last Samurai, right? So the story is an American guy comes to Japan and saves the day, sort of thing. So American New York cop comes who breaks all the rules, right? That's why it made me think of Lethal Weapon, because he breaks all the rules. He's a rule-breaking dude, and he comes to Japan and takes on the Yakuza. I'll try not to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, so I'll try to avoid giving any information that's going to spoil the plot. But you know, this is sort of the rough outline of what happens. So he comes to Japan and takes on the Yakuza, and the Japanese are all set in their ways and never break the rules or anything. And he comes along, and the fact that he breaks the rules, it is a popular theme in a lot of those Hollywood movies, isn't it? That the guy that breaks the rules and doesn't do things by the book always gets good results, and in the end he's a hero, right? It's sort of like along those lines. No surprises there. So yeah, he comes to Japan and they're all following the rules and not managing to get the bad guys, and he comes along and breaks all the rules and gets one of the Japanese guys to break the rules, and then they get the bad guys. And I mean, there's no surprises, right? You guys know this is going to be the way it's going to go, and at the end they're heroes, right? So there's that. Right, so no real surprises. It's well made. I mean, Ridley Scott, good director, and Michael Douglas and Andy Garcia, good actors. There's a Japanese actor that's really good too. So it was well done. What I enjoyed out of it was the scene, the shots of Osaka, because it was parts of it, or a bit, I don't know how much of it, was actually shot in Osaka. And so that was really interesting. Before I knew it was actually set in Osaka, they showed the plane coming in to land over Osaka, and I've actually flown over Osaka in the small aircraft, and I recognised the river and the scene, and it was like, that looks like Osaka. And sure enough, you know, they're landing at Osaka airport, and then there were lots of scenes in the movie, that places in Osaka that I've actually shown you in videos previously. You know, the Glico Man and all that sort of stuff that's still there from 1989, you know, so that's, what's that, 36 years ago. So there was lots of places there, the train station, there was a few places like that where they shot, where you recognise the scenes, but over, and the castle was actually in a couple of the shots, but it's also interesting to see the city, what it looked like 36 years ago, because obviously it's really different now. There are a lot of new big buildings that weren't there in 89, so it was sort of interesting, a bit of a time capsule, you know, to see Japan in 1989. I see Osaka in 1989, and there was the Yakuza thing, of course, and they did the Yakuza thing reasonably well. I mean, it had the Hollywood bent on it, but the Yakuza thing was pretty well done, and they had Bosozoku, doing some Bosozoku nonsense, which, yeah, it's pretty well done too, sort of thing. I mean, it's Hollywood, right? So you always get the Hollywood style on all these things. But overall, yeah, it was all right. It was all right. I watched it all the way through, and you know, interested to see how they were going to do it and how it was going to resolve. Sort of knew what the very end would be. You know, movies like that, you know, you don't start watching a movie like that and not know that the good guy's going to win in the end and the bad guy's going to lose, right? One of our kids pointed that out recently. After we'd watched a movie, she said it's happy at the start and sad in the middle and happy at the end. It was a Disney movie, actually, and it was like, yeah, that's what they do, which is a little interesting. It's different a lot of Japanese movies don't end happily. You know, one of the classics I saw once was sort of a romance, sort of action, old Japanese movie, and it was pretty good. And then at the end, right at the end, the both of them, I can't remember what it was called. Sorry guys, but right at the end, they're both wearing white, and they're in this beautiful stone garden. And right at the end, you think it's going to end happy ending, right? Because I grew up watching Hollywood movies, so I'm used to the happy ending thing. And you think it's going to be a happy ending, and right at the end, she pulls out this knife, and he doesn't know, and she stabs him in the heart with it. And then she turns it around and stabs herself in the heart with it, and they both fall to the ground. And this big pool of blood, because they're both wearing all white, and this big pool of blood just covers their bodies and just surrounds them, and that's the end of the movie, right? And lots of Japanese movies end like that, with sad endings. And so when you watch a Hollywood movie, you know that in the end the good guy's going to win. The surprise usually is which of his friends or family members die along the way, right? Or his co-workers, which of the other people in the movie die along the way. But that usually the hero stumbles away bleeding at the end, and he saves the day. So this one, Black Rain, is sort of similar to that. But yeah, it's all right. If you're into Japan, I mean, that's obviously why our friend has recommended this, because, if you're into Japan, just that Japanese part of it makes it sort of interesting, because you've got the Japanese culture thing, and it's sort of, they touch on that a bit, that here's the American guy who's going to break all the rules, and the Japanese guy explains that Japanese have group thinking, and that we have to think about the group, and we have to follow the rules, right? There's an element of truth to that, isn't there? And so yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Give it a look. If you've got a couple of hours, it's pretty long. If you've got a couple of hours and you want to check it out, check it out. So it's all right. I'm not going to do star ratings or anything. These things, it's all. It depends on the person, doesn't it? Movies are like art, aren't they? What one person finds really good, another person might not enjoy at all, or find mediocre, or whatever. So some of you guys are bound to like it, and some of you are bound to not like it. So if you've got a couple of hours, check it out for yourself. So anyway, Black Rain, 1989, Michael Douglas. Won't be hard to find on the internet, I'm sure. Anyway, that's enough of that. More videos coming soon.